Welcome, welcome, welcome to another exciting episode of Wind Down with Kev. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to watch the live stream, whether you're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Thank you. And if you're listening to this at a later date on your favorite podcasting platform, thank you. Also, big thank you to our sponsors, Canopy Connect, all things digital. If you're looking to get a little bit more efficient and serving your customers, reach out to Canopy Connect. If you're looking to grow your presence on social media, reach out to Carol Media. You see them coming behind me. And big thanks to Wintrust. Thank you, Wintrust. Thank you, Wintrust. Those are our sponsors. And thank you, you, all of you that have already hit the subscribe and notifications button that's watching this podcast. You're helping us grow. We could not do it without you. So here we are. We continue on our journey of doing 50 podcasts with 50 agents from 50 different states. And we have an exciting agent to bring to you today. This is a phenomenal award-winning agent. You name it, she's won it. She's won the Allstate Financial Peak Performance Award, Leaders Forum, honoring several times, Inner Circle, National Conference. If there is an award, she has won it. And when it comes to community, oh my God, she gives back where she works, where she lives. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me as we go to the wonderful state of Colorado, Parker, Colorado, to be specific, right in the Denver metro area. Put your warm Wind Down with Kev hands together and give a welcome to Jennifer Matthews. Hey, Jennifer, how are you?
I'm so good, Kevin. Thank you so much for having me today. Also, as you were going through the sponsors, love Canopy Connect, love Wintrust, and love Carol Media.
Thank you. Thank you for shouting them out. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. But I love your description of yourself that's on your website where it says normally we're pretty boring. We have like agency owner or exclusive agent. Not you. You've got agency owner / visionary and unicorn. Let's get into the unicorn part of the description. That's the most fun place I can think of to start.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for asking. My mom probably says this best. She's like, I know you're unique, but why a unicorn? And that all started when I showed up at a culture event that the region was putting on, and somebody said, oh my gosh, did you see there's a unicorn in the building? I'm like, who's in the building? I was so excited to meet this person. And they kept talking about this unicorn. I was like, oh my gosh, I just can't wait. I've got my notebook ready. I'm ready to go. And then they called me up on stage. And I was like, what? Oh, you're talking about me. And so then I started getting gifts of unicorn horns, and I wear one a lot. I do not have one on today. I do have a love note in my purse. Thanks, mommy, I borrowed this. So
Yes.
it's totally fine. I have 3 daughters. They are the other love of my life besides my husband and my 2 agencies.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, let's shout your daughters out first with special thanks to the daughter that borrowed your unicorn for today. We don't get to see the unicorn, but she left a note, so she's okay.
Okay.
So let's talk about your daughters and their ages. I always like to talk about the fun family stuff first before we get in business. Insurance business will be easy for us to talk about, but let's acknowledge your wonderful husband and your daughters first. Tell us a little bit about them.
All right. So my husband is my better half. I found him on Match.com. That is a game of numbers, probably a chat for another day, unless you'd like to hear it. It is the best sales contest I ever won. And
Nice.
I have 3 daughters, Madeline, Serafina, and Goldie Rose. They all work in the agency. They all do birthday calls on the weekends and during the week in the summer. And they also set appointments. So they are in marketing.
I love it. I love it. Put a number next to it. What are the ages of these beautiful girls that are working and earning their keep?
Absolutely. So Madeline is 12. She's been a mitzvah. She'll have her very special bat mitzvah in June, which is really exciting. Big rite of passage. Serafina is 9 and Goldie Rose is 7. So, but she's already moving to China next year. That's her new thing. So she's already got her suitcase packed. She doesn't really need us. She's very independent.
I love it. I love it. And congratulations in advance on her bar mitzvah. I know it's going to be an amazing event and you're completely going to blow the doors out. I think I saw pictures on your Facebook feed of the family in the temple. I think I saw a witch's hat in there. Don't know what that
Oh,
was
yeah.
about, but it looked interesting.
It was for Purim, which is where Queen Esther saves her people. And that is kind of, it's Easter season right now. So for us, it's Purim season.
I love
Lots of overlaps in the books, of course.
it. I love all of it. Loving all of it. Jennifer, talk to me about what you love about being an all-state agent in the great state of Colorado.
So, what I love best about being an Allstate agent is being able to make people's lives better, whether it's being their agent, giving them great advice, protecting what they've worked really hard to have. I think our vision says it all, which is be kind, advise, and treat like family.
Nice.
And I think, we get the opportunity to touch so many lives. We are a unique agency in that program is spoken here. And so we are a place for second chances, we're a place for recovery. We provide an in house therapist for all of our team members so they can live their best life in here and also out there. And I think
Wow.
in doing that, we're not just affecting their lives and our clients' lives and our prospects' lives, we're also affecting their home lives and their families.
So I can't let that pass. A lot of times these podcasts is pretty routine. I have a couple of ideas, questions I like to ask, but in-house therapy is the first for me. What does that look like? Where does that come from? How does it show up and manifest in helping you and your team really get through the stuff, all the stuff inside and outside of our work life that affects all of us?
So the better we're able to show up in our work life has a lot to do with how our home life looks. And we don't always get to choose what we're born into. So I was born into a wonderful, loving home that also had addiction and alcoholism in it. And so I've been part of Al Anon since I was 19. That's why program is spoken here. Al Anon is for family members or friends of alcoholics or addicts. It
Nice.
is an incredible 12-step program that someone else came up with, and I get to follow and use all of those tools in my everyday life. So the ways that we speak program here are we work off of the following. We're at our best when we're not halty. Halt means hungry, hormonal, hurt, angry, lonely, and tired. So if you're one of those 7 things and you feel less coachable than a normal day, you can let us know, and that's not going to be your day to get coached all day, right?
Wow.
If you say something around here and it is not think, right? True, helpful, inspiring, necessary, and kind, I will let you know. Hey, that's not think, right?
Wow.
And that way, this environment is a safe environment. Number one, to have all our feelings, and number two, to be professional and get the job done. So
Right.
if we have a client who is halty, right? We don't have to take that on. We don't have to become that person alongside them. We can use think, we can employ our tool sets, and we can still give them an amazing experience on the phone. And we could be the bright spot in their day, even if we're
Yes.
not closing their business, which is my favorite, right? I'm a
Right.
salesperson. I love
Right.
to close.
Right. My God, I love what you said. Halt and think. When you broke the HALT acronym down, I'm feeling bad because I use the word hangry a lot. That's the combination
Oh,
of hungry and
yeah.
angry. So that's Kevin at 10 o'clock at night. That's when I'm not my best, and my family knows I prefer not to answer any thinking questions at all during that time. But dealing with that full emotional cycle that we all go through that requires us to halt and the accountability standard in your agency around think that's amazing because I get your culture right away. I get it. But sometimes I'm going to be outside of that space. How does that bring people back when you let them know you go, hey Kevin, that's not think. How does that bring them back? How do they snap out and come back to being kind?
Yeah, so we will call that a Snickers break. I'm like, hey, it seems like you need a Snickers break. Head on over to the in house gym. We've got a little gym set up where we have a treadmill, a bike, we've got a shaker, we've got some stuff that works with uh, emotional.
Okay. Looks like we lost Jennifer for a minute. She's describing her wonderful agency. She'll be right back on. I just want to fill the void to make sure we don't have any dry time. But Jennifer, we lost you on camera, the mute button. I see you coming back on. I see you coming back on. I'm loving this description of what you offer in your agency. So whenever we have your facial, come on back. For those of you listening, watching on live stream, we are in the middle of a great conversation with Jennifer Matthews. She's describing the culture of an agency, which is absolutely fantastic. Not just the culture, she's also giving us visuals of her agency. And so far, what we've covered is that she has in-house therapy. Her agency is built upon a lot of the principles that are taught in Al-Anon, Alcoholics Anonymous. And she has a culture where she talks about halt, where if you're not at your very best that day when it comes to interacting with customers, doing things of that nature, and you need to halt. And we're also talking about her think principle, which reminds you to be kind. And Jennifer is back. Jennifer, please
Sorry.
continue to describe your agency. No worries. You were telling us about the ways that people can unwind within your agency, and I think you're right at the point where you were describing your gym.
Absolutely. So we have a miniature gym in our agency. It's got a bike, it's got a treadmill, it's got some social emotional sets in there. It has weights so that people can shake it off, lift it off. I have some really strong people in my agency. I'm like a 5 pound waiter, but we also have like 30 pound kettlebells. I'm
That's
like,
good.
I'll stick with the fives. Thank you.
Oh my God, that's okay. But you get to shake it off. Is there music? Because you say shake it off and I hear the song. Is there
Absolutely.
music or are there headphones in there?
So there's a TV in there and there's a boom box, and I do mean a boom box from like the 1983 Called and Wants It Back, right? Little John Cusack. So as far as that goes, we also have a dance party every day at 3. That helps people kind of get back to having fun. I expect, work hard, play harder. So I expect them to work their tuchuses off, and I expect them to get the job done. I also expect them to take care of themselves.
I love it. Jennifer, what is give me the jam that played for the dance party yesterday? What are we dancing to? I have to help my audience see this, feel this,
Oh,
experience it.
I mean, this is 1% embarrassing, but, little apple bottom jeans.
Okay.
And I never know names of songs, so I'm not trying to be disrespectful to the artist or the name. I'm like, "What is the name of that
It's
song?"
Nelly.
Apple
That
bottom
that
jeans,
that's
boots
it.
with
That
the
is
fur.
Nelly. So you say, work their tookus off. I'm here in New York, so I'm pretty good on my slang from different ethnic groups. So to say tookus and apple bottom, I see where your headspace is at. I get it, and I think everybody knows the dance moves to that song. So we are good. We're good. Jennifer, Allstate is happy to have you. What's your backstory? How did we get you to become an agent? What did you do before, and how did we get you on our side?
Oh my gosh, I love this question. So I lost a bet in a bar. And I know you should not. So, to all the kids out there and young entrepreneurs, do not drink in bars at noon on Thursdays. Okay, that's just a side note. So I was teaching tennis. I did not want to go on in school like most of my family members did, and I came in to see my neighbor's daughter. He was my insurance agent growing up. He lived next door to us. We called him Papa Don. Side note: my house burnt down on St. Patrick's Day of '97, also his birthday.
Wow.
And for sure, instead of calling 911, we went next door and had cake, because he thought we were pranking him, and really our house did burn down. So
Wow.
like he did
Wow.
call 911 eventually, but I mean he
Thank
was our
God.
insurance agent. So I
Thank
think God,
God.
like God knew I was supposed to be an insurance agent. God knew,
Yes.
I just didn't know. And I loved selling things my whole life. So most kids have one lemonade stand. I had 10. I employed all of the neighborhood kids. They had to bring their
Yes.
own lemonade, and then I would just ride around on my bike and collect the money because I made the phone ring, right? I would ride up and down the main drag with my helmet and my bike, right? My helmet on my handlebars to protect my head, and get customers in, and then they would pay me to be on one of my corners. So I had literally been in sales my entire life.
I,
And
I
went in there. The guy who was brand new, a brand new agent, this is with American Family, so a different brand. And he was like, "Are you here for the interview?" I'm like, "Absolutely," in my tennis skirt. And he offered me a job for $8 an hour. I promptly let him know I made 40 an hour teaching tennis. And he was like, "You owe me a beer." And I'm like, "Yeah, I probably do." Went to the bar. I had a few beverages. I may have been overserved. I lost the bet and I had to work for free for 60 days.
Wow.
I'm from a small town. So, of course, my mother heard very quickly and came in there and let me know. And I was really, really lucky. I just loved it. I loved insurance. And you don't have to love insurance to do this. I love
Right.
insurance. I love helping people with it. I love what it stands for. I love seeing it at work. I love the difference it makes when you bring a life insurance check to a family and they don't have to lose everything else. I love insurance. And I always tell people, you don't have to love it to do what I do.
Right.
In fact, when my first baby was born, I will never forget this because my mom came in the room and I looked at her and I said, "Mom, I love her more than insurance." And my mom's like, "Oh my gosh, we were so worried." We were so worried, and I was like, I didn't think I could ever love anything as much as I loved this.
Wow.
And so once I worked for free, I realized I was okay at this, and I got a lot of deals done on napkins at bars, and this is
Nice.
back when people had their checkbooks, so I would just be like, "Just give me a voided check, and I'll just let you know what it costs tomorrow. It's fine." And people would
Un-
just give me everything. They would so
Talk about building rapport and establishing trust immediately. That might be the best backstory that I heard. So, Jennifer, my journey across 50 states, I like what's talking about. What I like talking about what's unique unicorns in every state. One thing I've heard about Colorado is that you can experience all four seasons in a day. Let's
yes.
talk about that.
So you can have a 70-degree shift in a day, so you should just have all your extra outfits in your car. So you should just have your coat in your car. You should have, your swimsuit just in case. You should have everything in your car just in case. My golf clubs are in my car year round because you could golf in January and you could also golf in July.
Wow.
Not that if my husband listens to this, I'm only golfing on Wednesdays, by the way.
For all intents and purposes.
Right.
Jennifer, how does that sort of swing in weather has massive insurance implications? How does that, as the local agent, what conversations are you having to prepare people to make sure you have these coverages just in case we go from sunny to hailstorms or whatever the most prevalent natural disaster might be?
So, my favorite thing to do is to let people know that they're in charge of their rates. And I tell them what's customary and average, but also what all their choices are. I'm a huge fan of high deductibles, the highest one you can afford. So I tell people well ahead of the market shifting to that 1%, 2%. I used to tell people, look, if it's less than 1 or 2% of your house, you probably shouldn't be turning in a claim on that. Insurance is for the big stuff, for the
Right.
what ifs. And it's way more important to carry life insurance for your family than it is to have a 1K deductible. And
Yes.
I've been talking about that for years and years and years. And now our state is shifting into those 1%, 2% that we're seeing in California and Texas and Florida. We just want to make sure that we can remain privatized in the insurance here in our state. And so it's really important that we use insurance for what should be insurance and we keep a strong eye on small little claims that then stop you from switching carriers. We want you to be here because you want to be here, not because you have to be here.
Absolutely. That is crystal clear. Um, One other thing that stood out to me on your bio on your website, in your agency, you speak English, Spanish, French, Hebrew, Hindi, Italian, Nepali, and Urdu. Now, I'm in Queens, New York, where 50% of the people are born outside the US and 108 languages are spoken, but you speak as many languages in your agency as we do in mine. Talk to me about the Denver metro area and maybe the diversity and why it's important that you have so many languages represented in your agency.
So to do that, I'd have to go back to the very beginning. I started as a single mom with a baby under my desk. So I went door to door. If I didn't know how to speak a language, I would find someone who did so I could help them with their insurance. So I made a lot of friends that way. And
Yes.
one of the things I've always been open to is, translating things on Google or learning special words, right? Like I can say thank you, hello, and goodbye in most languages. I can say just one moment, or, the equivalent of that. And what I found was we attracted people to work here that spoke different languages, and then they would bring their entire community with them because community is such a huge thing here.
Yes.
And we
I
do have a huge Russian population, a huge Nepali population. We have a large Ukrainian population here. I'm Jewish, and so a lot of the people that I know are Ashkenazi Jew, which is from Russia. And we just learned that these were languages that needed to be spoken. We also have a Somali population here in Colorado,
nice.
and that's where French came in because English wasn't it, and French was spoken. And so I just learned, how to speak just enough so
Just
that
enough
people
to
could
start.
feel comfortable. I think even if we understand English and it's our second language, the idea that you can be greeted properly, the idea that you can ask about someone's family in their favorite language or the language they're most comfortable with is so important.
I would agree. I mean, the nothing. It's the how you feel. It's the building rapport and the quick building relationships because that's what we're looking for. We're looking for relationships, not transactions. So I love that. So Jennifer, you talked about going door to door, and now you acknowledge all my sponsors and what you do digitally. Talk to me about your transformation from knocking door to door to what you're doing digitally. I follow you on Facebook. You're phenomenal. You're telling great stories and giving great information all the time. But when was the transformational moment where you started using tools like Canopy Connect and Carol Media and really just expanding your digital presence?
So I would say about a year ago, we started using Canopy Connect and Carol Media. As far as digital connectedness, I had to learn how to use the Facebook, the Talk, and the Gram. And I learned that from Danelle Delgado. She put on a class, and I was like, I'm going to figure out how to use this Facebook thing because I would say we still do handwritten thank you notes here. We still send
That's
out
great.
like 40 handwritten thank you notes a day for our conversations. And so I'm very low tech in so many ways. I still have a phone on my desk. I'm the only one in the agency, but I still love my phone,
Yes.
even though we're on VoIP, right? I still like to
Yes.
dial it. I think that the energy that goes out in the world makes people want to buy from me, all the things. So I would say Danelle Delgado in 2019, I took a class, and then Carol Media and Canopy Connect a year ago. And now, since then, I've spoken with you. I've read your books. They're phenomenal. I've worked with Christina Shaw a little bit
Yes.
and Casey Kukert. And I just think the more you can learn how to get digital and how to increase the use of AI and things like that, there's your little plug for the book, right? um, that is going to help you so much head into the future. When it was just me feeding me with referrals, I have enough referrals coming in from my big old mouth. When we're feeding a team of 14, we need more resources on that. We have to use every single thing available to us and increase our marketing spend. My marketing spend prior to 2024 was 500 a month. My
Okay.
marketing spend now is 18,000 a month. And I
Love
think, to look at that difference, right, from one year to the next is just, it speaks volumes for what has to change for us to change with what's changing.
Yes, we have to change the change. So you shouted out a number of wonderful people that you're working with, Donaldo Delgado, Christina Shore, Casey Cookert. We have a great friend and a great coach in common that I know you work with a lot. Talk a little bit about Greg Gray.
Love him. He's an honorary member of our team. The thing that I love most about Greg is he looks in on things from a 10,000-foot view. And he talks
Yes,
about that a lot. So often, so many of us agency owners are in our business versus on our business. Now,
yes,
for me, I love sales. So if you ask me how I wanted to spend my day, the 8 hours, I would say 2 hours visionary, six on the phone with people or,
I love.
with training our team members. Most agency owners, though, want to work on their business. So,
Hmm.
one of the reasons why I love working with Greg is number one, he makes everything so accessible.
Yes,
And I am definitely one of his fans. I'm going to tell you the first time I met him. First of all, I have no cool in me. I wish I had cool. I want to be cool when I grow up. I want to be her. I'm just like a star-shaped peg trying to fit in the round holes of the world. And so Greg walked into my friend Danielle's office and I was like, oh, there he is. Oh,
Oh my
right?
God.
And of course, I said that out loud. Like most people would say it in here, but no, I was like, oh my God. Hi, Greg. And he's like, oh, hi, Jennifer. And I'm like, oh, you know my name. And he's like, yeah, no, yep, I know who you are. And I'm like, oh my God. Hi, can I take a picture with you? And he, of course, was so gracious and so
Oh my
kind and was like, yes, of course, Jennifer. And I'm like, I've been following you since you wrote your first book, you know, and I
nice.
had seen him speak way before being an all-state agent.
Yes.
And I had
Yes.
been following him, and he was like a Gittimer or a Zig Ziglar to me, right? A
Yes.
Harvey McKay. And so
Yes.
I was just like, I just love you. And he's like, oh, thank you. I mean, fast forward to today, we talk every single week. We work together on projects. He has stayed at our house so many times, probably 16 times over the last 4 years.
I
He
love it.
comes and speaks with our agency, and he's a family friend now. I mean, I'm confident he'll be, there in June with our milestone for Madeline and everything else. And he'll be back here in May to speak to our team and speak to all the Denver agents. But he just makes everything so accessible for people. He makes it so easy to retain people, to find out why they're leaving, to figure out why your team members are not cleaning between the machines if you've read his book.
Right.
He just makes it so without making you feel like an idiot, he
Right.
gives you the idiot's guide. In fact, the poem If that he has memorized is in
Yes.
all of our executive offices. It's right
Yes.
behind me. It's one of my favorite poems now that he shared it with us.
I love it. I love it. And thank you for shouting him out. He is a wonderful person. And he deserves all the accolades and all the recognition as for his speaking, for his coaching, and everything that he has going. I had the best conversation with him, and can't wait to catch up with him again. Jennifer, let's pivot to community. You are doing it. You're a natural born salesperson, but the time and things that you're involved in the community, I'm looking at someone like you, Parker Task Force, Miss Amazing Pageant Colorado, Run, Rare and Undiagnosed Network, Be Kind Ambassador Program, Boys and Girls Club, Rotary Club of Parker. Pick one and tell me what's your passion project that you're working on right now that maybe has something coming up soon that you would like to plug.
Okay, I can't pick one. I have to pick two. So the
Okay.
first one is going to be Parker Task Force. Parker Task Force makes sure that kids have backpacks that has enough food for all of their families over the weekends. It's an affluent area where my agency is, or at least it looks that way. There are over 2,000 families that don't have enough food to feed their kids and themselves over the weekend. So Parker Task Force puts together food and backpacks for kids to take home so nobody knows that they're taking them home. And my family and I stand outside at the local grocery stores for 2 hours on Saturdays, along with our team members if they want to join us, and ask people if they can fit anything in their budget to go there. My
Nice.
second project I'm super passionate about is through Rotary of Centennial. I know you said Rotary of Parker. I may have typed it in wrong. I apologize. So, Rotary of Centennial is involved with another group of people that are misplaced. And they do events through Iron Sharp. And they just did an event, Lavished with Love, where they set up at the local middle school, invited 1,500 families to come get an incredible meal that's 4 star, get haircuts, nails done, a photo shop. They handed out winter coats, they handed out books, anything that you could think of where we could find a sponsor for. The kids got to go on the fire truck and go around. And I love volunteer opportunities where I can bring my girls so they can see how lucky we are that we have food every night, that we have a place to live, that they can come to work with mommy on Saturdays and, make birthday calls, right? They don't have to worry about where their next meal is coming from. And so those are my two passion projects right now, is making sure that kids always have food. And then the second one is that no matter where you are in life, I want you to be treated well, because
Yes.
that's what God wants for you. God wants you to
Yes.
have everything. He wants you to
Yes.
have everything, and if you have it, we always have enough to share it. So
Yes.
it's important. And the most precious thing we can share is time. So giving time to someone else is the most precious thing, because you can only spend it one time.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Priceless. And thank you for not limiting yourself to one charity and really painting the picture of what
Sorry.
you're doing in both places. Both organizations deserve it. And if anyone's listening and in a local area and you want to get involved, reach out to Jennifer Matthews. There's always room. There's always room in the world of volunteering. If you're looking for your place in life, or if you're having a hard time, help someone else out and it will help you feel better and them as well. Jennifer, two-part question as we begin to wind down. What does a typical day look like for you, and how do you wind down at the end of the day?
I love this question. So, love to get up at 4 a.m., love to see the sunrise, big believer in prayers first, and some time with my husband before our kids get up. By 5:30, our house is buzzing with at least one kid up, if not three. Um, I love that my house is early risers, and my kids and I do a lot of dancing in the kitchen in the morning.
Yes.
Five colors is the rule for every plate. I don't care how they get it. Sauces don't count, but you got to have five colors on your plate every day for
Nice.
breakfast. So there's a lot of weird things that are served for breakfast at my house.
Do
It is
Fruit
not
Loops count?
uncommon.
Do Fruit Loops count when
No,
we're looking to
no,
get
no, they have to be real colors that God made. That's my rule. So, now, and we don't, we're completely boring. Every once in a while, they get like a box of Cheerios somehow shows up at my house, thanks to
Okay,
my husband. But typically, it's stuff that comes from somewhere.
I got
Like if
it.
it didn't grow in the ground, it probably shouldn't go in your body. But they
Got it.
hear that all the time.
Got it.
Like you could choke and die if you don't do that. Because that's like the Jewish way is like if they do something, I'm always like, you could die from that. You should be careful, you know.
Just a little bit of guilt, not a lot, just a little bit, something to think about, that's all.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then wind down is much the same way. I made a commitment a little over a year ago to get 10,000 steps a day. We also pay our team members for doing steps 22 out of 30 days. So if they get 10,000, they get 300 bucks a month, which is
I
nice
love it.
because we want to keep them healthy so they can be happy on the phone with clients. And so my kids often are walking with me at night while we talk about their day. We do our prayers together. And then I like to go to bed at like 8 to 8:30.
I would
So,
imagine.
yeah. It, I think that's like a magical night is to do a little reading with my kids, do prayers with them, finish walking my 2 miles around. I walk around the living room a lot while they talk to me. So,
Yeah.
it's wonderful. I love spending time with my family at night.
Well, you opened up something. I thought I was coming to a finish, but you opened up a couple of
I'm
things that I
sorry.
forgot to. No, 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 no. I'm glad that it came to me because I think about it later. It would bother me later. Um, you're always hiring. Talk to me about getting into the business in Colorado. How hard is it to get the license to get started in Colorado? And what's the ideal person that you're looking for to join your team?
Oh my gosh, I love that question. So, the ideal person is someone who doesn't mind drinking from a fire hose your first 6 months. And getting the license is very easy as long as your mindset is to get it because you can take it as many times as you need to take it. You take a 2-day class, you go take the test and pass it. It is not rocket science, but just because you did that does not make you a professional, it makes you an agent. Mazel tov, congrats,
Yeah.
you have your piece of paper. It's kind of
Yes.
like a brand new driver, right? We don't
Right.
really want them on the highway with us.
Right.
Right? I mean, sure, you have your license now. We're happy for you, but maybe just, drive back and forth to school at 25 miles an hour. Thank you.
Right.
So, as far as in our agency, we are so lucky because we do a 12-week onboarding. I'm lucky enough to work with my best friend who is our CFO and our COO, and she onboards everyone. She's made a video of every single thing. She's written it all down. We have over 300 processes, policies, and procedures.
Love it.
Thanks be to Sarah. you
Yes.
know, we would not be where we are prior to like today. We're an $18 million book in before she joined us 8 years ago, we were a $3 million book. So those
Right.
policies, processes, and procedures is how we got to here. It's why we hire a lot. It's why we rolled out 11 agency owners, and it's why we'll
Wow.
continue to roll out agency owners. I think the thing I sell best is probably the dream of doing this, right? The freedom it gives you, the ability to help people. You get to sell insurance, my favorite thing. All the things.
I love it. You are a super ambassador for Allstate. You're an ambassador for your staff. The things that you're doing, that person listening to this in Colorado, 2 days to get a license, 12 weeks of onboarding. One thing that many people don't know is the reason why most people leave jobs is not over money, but it's over training. They never learned how to do what they're being asked to do, and they feel really disconnected. So you're doing a phenomenal job onboarding people, and then the thought of starting a job where someone is going to show you a path to one day be an agency owner to from a starter agency and to grow as far as they can grow. That's absolutely priceless. Jennifer, before we wrap up, anything at all that you wanted to share that I didn't ask you about?
I just wanted to say I love that you're doing this, Kevin. And I love how open your door is. I love that when I was struggling last year, you picked up the phone and we talked, and you've always been someone who's willing to pour into others. And I know that's why this podcast is going to be such a success because it's going to be the universe, paying you back, filling up your cup. You fill up so many people's cups by being a positive force of good in the world. And I just wanted to say that. And I know you're still recording. And I wanted you to know that you made such a huge difference with my trajectory last year. And I don't know that I ever got to thank you after we talked.
Well, thank you. I just get to watch your progress, and that's enough for me. But thank you for coming on today. Thank you for showing up and being a phenomenal guest and giving so many of us so many jewels that we can work with. This is going to be one of those podcasts that many people, including myself, will listen to multiple times. I am a religious, habitual note taker, so I've got to go back to get those acronyms down packed. But thank you so much for taking time out of your day. Thank you for being here. Thank you for winding down with Kev. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning into this podcast. Thank you to everyone that's already clicked the subscribe and notifications button. If you haven't done so yet, I think we've given you plenty of reasons to do so now so you can get notified when this incredible content becomes available. Thank you to our sponsors, Canopy Connect, Carroll Media, and Wintrust Financial. Thank you so much for making this happen. And please put your warm wind down with Kev hands together and thank our phenomenal guest for today, Jennifer Matthews, the unicorn.